final day of the week. These are the voyages of the program Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Its ongoing mission: to explore strange new movies, to seek out new bits and new edifications, to boldly go where no radio program has gone before. Oh, Elkins Movie Club. It's Elkins Movie Club. Elkins Movie Club. It's Elkins Movie Club.
With Kent Wolgamott of the Lincoln Journal-Star. That was weird.
Oh, he's like way behind us, yeah.
With Kent Wolgamott. Oh, Kent, are you hearing us in real time?
I am hearing you in real time, but I also hear.
Oh, I know what I have.
Hang on, Stims has to fix something here.
We're good. We're good.
Now we're good. Now we're good.
That was me, not you, Ken. I apologize.
Nice shirt.
That is awesome.
Family business.
Really?
Oh, really?
My dad had a station, and when he retired, my brother was smart enough to buy us all shirts. Under my name there.
Yep.
And we all had matching shirts from the station. So this was never worn to pump gas, but I pumped lots of gas in my lifetime.
If you're for those who are not with us on Stibbs TV, Kent's got a blue Amoco shirt, the old Amoco gas, which later became BP. They merged. Blah blah blah. I was trying to rack my brain because I can remember a lot of like old commercial slogans. What was Amoco's slogan? Did they have a slogan?
Not that I can remember, but before it was Amoco, it was Standard.
Right. I remember like Texaco, trust your car to the man who wears the star.
See what you get and get what you see.
Yeah,
according to
I guess I just don't remember a lot of Amoco commercials growing up, but I do remember the familiar red, white, and blue flame of Amoco. So we're talking to a gas pumper today. And as a former gas pumper myself, Sap Brothers 77, Fremont, Nebraska. We were an APCO station.
There you go.
Never heard of that one.
Yeah, APCO. I wish my mom still had those shirts.
I went to Mini and Amoco in my day. I was an Amoco stan for when I wanted to go get my candy cigarettes or my Laffy Taffy. Amoco was my jam. Pretty sad when BP bought them out.
Well, candy cigarette.
The movie this week is The Devil All the Time. It is a Netflix original that is streaming right now. It just came out within the last month. Stibbs, do you want to take the narrator, or you want me to give a quick synopsis? Because
I'll give it a shot. It's hard to kind of describe.
Well, I would say, I guess to get us started, it's a movie that starts, I call it, there's an A story and a B story, right?
Possibly even a C, but yeah, you're right.
The main story is, this A story is the ex-Marine World War II vet who marries the waitress. And the B story is the middle-aged guy who also marries a waitress, but they get into some bad things. And basically the stories diverge, but then at the end they come together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very it's hard to describe like what the overarching kind of theme is. The title fits it fairly perfectly. You seem to not be able to get out of a scene without something pretty horrible happening. It mainly focuses around this kid who lost his parents, who was this child of the original waitress and the World War II vet who came back. And he lost his parents in some of just the more heart-wrenching possible ways he could. His mom dies of cancer very young. His dad can't handle it, so he shoots his dog in the face as a sacrifice to the Lord. That doesn't work, so he kills himself. It's a very uplifting film. But it's intriguing. There's obviously a lot of religion and a commentary on religion, especially in the time period that this takes place,
which is the 50s and 60s,
and how small towns kind of congregated around their churches and preachers. It's it as Ravi would call it, a tough hang. That's not necessarily what I think of tough hangs, but what he means is it's not the happiest movie you'll ever see. But I enjoyed the story as much as you can of a like pretty sad kind of story that happened.
Can't fill in some gaps here. Where are we missing?
All right, let's let the professional do this one.
Thank you.
This is an Appalachian noir. You know what film noir is, right? Son of the darkness. And classic is, the urban guy who gets into more and more danger and trouble, and he can't figure out why, and it's his, Well, this is the same kind of film. It's also a dead-on adaptation of the novel, which is why you have those storylines that come and go, and it flips back and forth in time once in a while and reestablishes characters. This is a very, very faithful, I haven't read the novel, but it has to be a very faithful adaptation of the novel. And one of the reasons that I am sure that it is that the movie is narrated, which tells you got to have enough exposition in there to let you know what's going on, by the guy who wrote the novel.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Right? Donald Pollock.
Yeah. Yep. Donald Ray Pollock. Yeah. Yep. Who wrote the novel. So what you have is the storyline about the kid whose name is Arvin, who grows up to be Tom Holland, aka Spider-Man.
Yep.
And all of the stuff that he has to deal with in the aftermath of his parents' deaths and getting moved to another town. And obviously this bad stuff happens. The other couple that turn out to be really bad people are hooked to him because of the small town, right?
Yep.
And that's this whole atmosphere of evil and hypocrisy that haunts every good noir. The woman is Riley Keough. You know who she is? That's Elvis's granddaughter.
Yes. Okay.
The girlfriend of the older guy, that couple. Okay.
Yep, that's Elvis's granddaughter.
Interesting.
Lisa Marie's daughter. So that's what you have going on, and it is very period specific, and it's very Appalachian specific. It takes place in West Virginia and Ohio, in that sort of Appalachian area, which makes it really rural and, importantly, really poor, because if you noticed in the whole 50s thing, you never saw one television.
No.
In the whole movie, you don't see a single television, right?
Mm-hmm. No.
And you'd only hear the radio after it gets into the 60s. So you're talking about dirt poor kind of environment on top of everything else. And that is, I think, contributes to the way it looks as well. I think it looked right, and it's very well acted, and it is as dark a story as you're ever going to see.
And I suppose we should explain a little bit. So really the story arc that Arvin, who is the boy of the Marine and the waitress, after his parents die, he goes to live with his grandmother, his paternal grandmother, who is also caring for another young girl that has lost her parents. And so essentially they're not related stepbrother, stepsister, but that's how the relationship is treated. And Tom Holland's character, Arvin, it kind of is a protector of this girl. They're about the same age. The girl gets hooked up with the town priest, who is a luring or a pastor, I should say. He's not
preacher
Catholic.
Is what
preacher.
They call him. Yep.
Yeah, very much small town preacher.
He's new to town. He came in his flashy Thunderbird or whatever it was.
Handsome, all this stuff. Well, he basically lures her in to his sex web, and that's where Arvin's storyline goes off. Then the B story, as I call it, the middle-aged man who is Carl, and Riley Keough's character who is Sandy. They're the worst kind of swinging couple, because what they do is they basically go out and pick up attractive male hitchhikers, go out into the middle of the woods, and then Carl wants to take pictures of these young hitchhikers having sex with his wife. Then they eventually kill the guy. And they've done this many times.
And so you would call them serial killers, generally.
They would be serial killers, yes.
It was very Starkweather-esque, minus I don't think they had nearly as much of the weird sex addiction that these two had. But they were basically just went on road trips and found hitchhikers to kill and take pictures of.
I think one of the things I liked about it, and it didn't dawn on me right away, but at the very beginning, really when the story starts, when Arvin's parents meet, it's one of those situations where a twist of fate leads to different outcomes for the two women. So Riley Keough's character is just getting to work. Carl gives up his seat to this Marine because he respects his service, and he ends up sitting down at the counter, which is being served by the woman he eventually marries. If he doesn't give up that seat,
she doesn't serve him.
She doesn't serve him.
I didn't even think about that. That's
exactly. Right. So
they could have had opposite women, essentially. Yeah,
exactly. They could have had opposite women, and they could have had entirely different futures. But in this case, they don't, and that's kind of where the story branches off.
And that's what I enjoyed most about this movie. Obviously, there's some, like you said, one of the more kind of disturbing, just overall stories of just kind of Shakespearean tragedy. The kid, it's just like there's a rain cloud over this guy's life, his entire life so far, and no matter what happens, every turn, the worst thing that could happen seems to happen. But what made it all interesting to me were the reoccurring themes and the way that every generation that they showed, whether it was him as a child, then as he grew up, then obviously his parents involved too. It spoiler alert a little bit. It ends with him sticking up for his stepsister, quote unquote, and it all goes back to when he witnessed his father sticking up for his mother, right? Yeah. His father took it into his own hands to take care of these people who were giving his mother a hard time and saying mean things about them and doing all this stuff. And he had his son watch him get out of the truck and just beat these guys to a pulp, and then gave his son a lesson, essentially saying, sometimes you have to do this, but you have to pick your times and you have to know when it's the right time to do it. And Arvin takes that life lesson from his father and applies it in all of these big situations that the story ends up telling you. And the way that it would go back in time and forth and then catch itself back up to a scene that you'd already seen for about 5 seconds to give the viewer like, okay, now I know we're back here and I understand why we were here in the first place. I thought it did a phenomenal job at that. And the way that it picked at these reoccurring themes all the way through until the end, I thought was really, really well done.
Well done and very novelistic, right? So, which tells you it's a really good adaptation. But if you notice, it also has, I wouldn't call them symbols, but almost these recurring visual things. The Luger, the picking the rag up off the floor to wipe the blood off your hands.
Yep.
Bang, that go exactly to what Stibbs is saying about multi-generation. Right? That this
almost like how it's hard for you to break if that's kind of your family curse, you're destined to repeat what your family has done, type of thing.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And I think we would be doing anybody that's interested in this a disservice not to talk about how good the acting is.
Yeah, it was. It was
all across the board, I thought.
It stuck out to me for sure. I thought, especially at the beginning, I thought the kid did a phenomenal job who played young Arvin.
Young Arvin, yeah.
He was great. And then, Tom Holland, I haven't seen a lot of his movies. I haven't watched his Spider-Man. I know he's been in a handful of other things that maybe I've seen, and he wasn't necessarily the main character, but I thought he was great. His stepsister, so older Lenora, I know her from, what was that HBO? Sharp Objects on HBO.
Eliza Scanlon.
She was phenomenal in that show, and was very, very good in this. Robert Pattinson is a phenomenal actor. I mean, yeah, across the board.
And wasn't he like ultra sleazy?
Yeah, he was good at that. He was so
you
good.
couldn't get a sleazier preacher than him.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and the scene that really turned you off on him was very early so he comes to town. And it's tradition for all the townspeople to make this grand, potluck buffet.
All 25 of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're all there, and all this food sitting out. And because Arlen's grandmother is so poor, she can't buy decent meat, so she gets chicken livers. And as he's going through the potluck, and he stops at the chicken livers, and he pauses, and the whole town is watching him basically make his plate.
Literally congregated around him, yeah.
And he stops, and he makes it a point to point out the chicken livers, and in a very smug, yet trying not to overtly say, "This is disgusting. I can't believe you're serving this to me," but he's trying to use it as a message to, preach to the greater choir. And it just embarrasses the grandmother to no end, and makes Arlen very upset.
Mm-hmm.
And that scene, when I saw that, I was like, all right, this dude's a piece of crap.
Yeah.
And as is the case in most film noirs, all the bad people end up
getting it
in some way.
Yeah.
And
that is the satisfying part. For as sad and depressing as the story can be, everything you're kind of rooting for to happen after that happens, they get their comeuppance. They do. That's where your satisfaction comes from at the end of this film.
And the other thing, the hypocrisy that's in it. All of these characters are hypocritical in some fashion, even to some measure Armin. But pretty much everybody else is 100% a hypocrite in some fashion. Mm-hmm. Like the sheriff is crooked, and the preacher does what he does, and all of them right down.
Andy wants to leave, but she won't, so she keeps killing people with Carl.
Right. Yep.
So that is The Devil All the Time. It just came out within the last month. It is streaming. It's a Netflix original.
Did you like it, Kent?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was going to had I written about it in the paper, I'd have probably given it a B.
Okay.
I said I was going to debut a new rating system.
I'm excited.
0 to 5 stars. Just to give you an example, a 0-star movie is Vanilla Sky, worst movie of all time. A 5-star would be something classic like Smokey and the Bandit. I'm going to give this now a 2 is not a bad rating. A 2 is watchable.
Sounds bad.
I'm going to say 2. I'm going to say 2.5.
Okay.
2.5. But I will grade this on a Stibbs curve and give it a 4 on the movies that Stibbs. I liked it.
It's the best. Is it your favorite of the ones I've picked? Probably because you didn't see Bernie yet, right?
Yeah,
which I think would probably be your favorite.
I'm trying to think. I thought there was one other one that I thought
Platform.
Platform was just depressing. You know what? If I would, that's a great point you make. If I would have watched this movie back when we watched The Platform and The Platform today, I might have completely opposite views. Just because, we were so early in the whole
I just
pandemic.
Slapped you in the face with that right off the bat.
Yeah. But I did. I like this. It is good.
It was good.
It is worth a watch. Did John get
in my old, we used to do the 5 stars in the paper before they changed to grades. And so this would have probably been 3.5 for me.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. No, I liked it.
Yeah. I'm probably with Kent, 3.5, 4.
Okay. So you said Josh did give
me a movie to pick. It is his turn. He's not here, as you can see in the stream. He would like everyone to watch Mission Impossible Fallout, starring
the little guy.
Tom Cruise.
A little favorite
of him.
I honestly think that's
which one is Fallout?
It's the one that just came out a couple years.
That's the most recent.
The one I've seen in the theaters.
Did you see it?
I did.
I haven't seen it. So
yeah, it came out 2 summers ago in August, And my friend and I, when we go do our trip, we always go to a movie, and there weren't many great movies out at that point, so we chose Mission
It was
Impossible.
released July 27th. Yeah, so you would have seen it like the next weekend, probably.
Oh, so I don't even have to worry about. I've seen it.
There you go. It looks like it's on Hulu, and I thought he might have showed me that it was possibly also on Amazon. So you have two. Yep, you can watch it on Amazon too.
And I would say, as somebody who has, you probably do want to watch it again, because if you go in, you're not going to remember things that long ago. Trust me on this one.
You might be right on that one. You might be right on that one. Well, Kent, we're 2 weeks away from football, so I know you're excited for that.
Oh, yeah.
And tonight will probably end the NBA Finals. Will it end the NBA Finals?
I think so. Yeah. It's just it's too much Anthony Davis. They just have no answer for him. Not that you have any answer for LeBron, but you put Anthony Davis with him, and that they're pretty unstoppable as long as those other guys can make a shot. And they did the other night.
Yeah. Are you going to be covering the Nebraska bubble?
Probably.
Sweet.
The question is, are they going to let anybody in? That hasn't been decided yet, right?
No, it has not.
This just occurred to me. This Lincoln just cranked its COVID dial up towards the red, like this afternoon, because of all the cases. If they go into red and they go into full shutdown at the university, does that shut down football?
That's a great question, Kent. That is a great question. I mean, by the parameters that the Big Ten has set out, there was nothing in there about what happens in the city per se.
Right.
But you're right. I mean, Lincoln being in the red, I know that they've reversed their policy on Lincoln Public Schools. They were going to go back to full-time high school. Now it's not going to happen. But that's a great question. My guess is the answer is no, because there is in it not anything, but it is going to be quite the juxtaposition if Lincoln continues to trend in this direction, and meanwhile Nebraska football is happening.
And part of the reason I asked that, it's not just the football game, right? This would impact. You can't tell me that there aren't going to be tens of thousands of people come to Lincoln, whether they can get in the stands or not.
Well, and Lincoln already they opened up so that bars could work out on the streets and in the sidewalks in certain areas of downtown. They said they could do the outdoor cafes. If Lincoln goes into the red, I've got to imagine that's off.
Oh, if you go in the red, everything's off. It's back to the future here,
Oh, don't even say that. Ugh. All right. Well, on that happy note,
on that cheery bit of news,
we'll let you go.
What a segment!
We'll let you go change your oil or change some oil, because you got your Amico shirt on. So keep her on the road.
Will do. See you next week.
There he is, Kent Wolgamott.
Thank you, Kent,
of the Lincoln Journal-Star. It is Fallout, Mission Impossible Fallout, next week's movie in Kent's movie club.
I'm excited. I haven't seen it. I heard good things. So
I have seen it.
97% on Rotten Tomatoes from viewers. An 86 Metacritic, which usually action movies like that, the critics aren't necessarily fans of. So
I didn't like it as much as the first one.
Yeah.
I liked the first one.
First one's great. I like the second one. I was also a teenager, so I don't know. But
I didn't see any.
I thought the second one was cool. I didn't see I think there was a third, right? Because this is it doesn't matter.
How that was.
I mean, you're up to like 6.
I think this is the fourth one. Yeah, I think.
I think this is more than 4, because you've got 1, 2, 3, Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and Fallout. I think there's 6 total.
I didn't even know about those other 2 that you just said.
I don't know which order.
Yeah, but I recognize the name.
After the first 3, you've got Rogue Nation, Ghost Protocol, and Fallout in some order.
And there's soon to be. Well, yeah, Fallout's the most recent, and that was number 7.
Oh, 7. So I missed one.
No, it's number 6.
Okay.
And there's one scheduled for next year and one for the year after that, according to Google.
Do I have to watch 3 movies before I watch this one?
I didn't.
Okay. Well, no, it would be 5, because this is 6.
But I've seen 1 and 2.
Okay. I don't think they're
They're not necessarily
interconnected.
No, not really. I mean, I think there is a little backstory here with previous relationships,
but it won't totally ruin
I think it's
the
like
story.
I think it's like a Fast and
It's more
Furious
like a
situation.
James Bond kind of thing where you could just come and go. Got it. Cool. Mission Impossible Fallout next Friday. Watch it, peeps.
And we'll be back with more in a minute. 1620 in the zone.